Are people are already in here?
Tell me when we're live, my friend.
We're live, bro.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, let's do it.
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was. To catch them is my real test. To train them is my cause. I will travel across the land, searching far and wide. Each Pokemon to understand the power that's inside. Pokemon, it's you and me. I know it's my destiny. Oh, you're my best.
We are. Are we gonna get a? We're gonna get a takedown thing.
Probably. All right, is that too much, Cal?
No, I don't know.
All right. Cal, should we get
All
into
right,
it?
ladies and gentlemen, all the way from the low desert of the great American Southwest, it's Serge and Kale here to talk about Pokemon.
Yeah, Cal, why are we even talking about Pokemon? It's not even out yet.
Man, well, it looks like Betson had a slide,
Oh,
and one of Betson's slides leaked. So it appears to be a photo.
So you're saying it's not Photoshop? That's not
of
an
a
AI
computer screen.
Photoshop. You think it's real? Here's what you're saying.
Yeah, it's real.
I agree with that. So let's go to the photo and get right into it. Cal, how do you feel about the theme, by the way? Pokemon, biggest license in the world. Before I show the photo and talk and break it through.
Oh, I mean, as an operator, majorly excited about this because, and I can tell you right now, I haven't had this many people message me about a upcoming release in a long time. People who are not like hardcore pinball folks.
You know, I know our chat is going to have all sorts of feelings about it, especially home buyers. But, you know, Kale, you're an operator. You know what works in an arcade, and you're saying this game is going to work in an arcade, aren't you?
This game's going to print money.
Print money, that's right. It's biggest license over in the world. You know, different question, does it cross over in the pinball demographic for buyers at home? I don't know that, but that's a question I look forward to getting to the answer to. And I hope it does, actually, because if we get younger players into pinball, that's a win for everyone, right, Kale? And it's a great. And it's really good timing for Stern to launch Pokemon Pinball. It's a big year for Pokemon. It's the 30th anniversary. There's going to be lots of hype and promotion. If you noticed at the Super Bowl, there was even a commercial for Pokemon in there. So I believe in it as a theme. I get that. Next, before we show the playfield, how do you feel about leaks, Kale, as a concept? How do you feel about leaks? Because we're about to go over what is leaked material. We're going to do a chat, I promise. We're going to do it. But how do you feel about it? I'll tell you how I feel after you go.
I get excited. It gets me excited. I think it gets everybody excited.
Tell me more.
And here's my feeling about it. If this leak is that big of a deal, I mean, Stern could have kept. I mean, Stern gave Betson this stuff. So, I mean, they could have kept this from happening. You know, with the controlled rollout where they would see it maybe at the same time the influencers do tomorrow or something. I don't know, but I mean this could have been avoided.
Yeah, I have conflicted, mixed feeling about leaks because it's not a great photograph. I'm not going to know all the code like I usually like to dive in on launch day with. I can barely see some of the inserts. It's blurry. It doesn't make the game put it into the best light. And I wish the game did get put into the best light, And then here I am, hypocrite and all. I'm the one who's going to show it with you, Kale, and we're going to break it down, And I feel conflicted about that, but it's out there. It's out, the photo's circulating, so we might as well get into it. So should any more preamble there, Kale, or do you want to just jump right in?
No, let's go. Let's give the people what they're here for. I
teased it enough. Let's give the people what they're here for. All right, so we have this. We're going to get into the playfield in a moment, but let's talk about the cabinet first, Kale. Do you have any opinions on the cabinet and the artwork? And by the way, some people were saying, oh, is this a home edition? Tell us why Kale, this is not the home edition. This is not the Costco edition. And they might be, we hear, making a Costco edition as well. But why is this not the Costco edition?
Well, this is obviously the the premium. First of all, it has a coin door. I mean, second of all, the home edition, the back box doesn't even look like that with that huge screen in there. I mean, that's Spike 3.
Yep.
And also the top down of the apron.
Here on. Yep. Sorry, top
yeah.
down of apron. Let's go to this one right there.
That's a premium apron.
Yeah, that's not what the home edition looks like, right?
Nope.
All right, let's go. Let's look at the
Snorlax, right?
Oh, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get to the Snorlax. What do you think about the artwork?
I mean, it looks like exactly what I thought it would. I mean, that's just Pokemon artwork.
Well, one thing we could learn, and you said this the other day, is they got all the licenses. And, you know, like Pokemon has all these different licenses, as you've mentioned before. Is it Nintendo? Is it all these other ones? But they seem to have gotten everything, and including these original Pokemon, but also some newer ones in there. Yep. All of them are out there. We've got our Bulbasaur. We've got our Charmander. We've got our Squirtle. We've got our Pikachu. We've got our Meowth. And all the others are there. And yes, I'm going to know these names. And we're going to get into it. We've got our Charizard here on the side there of the cabinet. But let's look at the side of the cabinet before we go to the rest.
Thank you to all in the chat, keeping us on our toes. We're reading everything. You guys are hilarious.
Yeah, we got all those same 4 Pokemon hanging out. Some 4 of the original Kanto Pokemon in the first edition there, with a giant red ball over there. This is not typical Zombie Yeti artwork. Would you agree with that?
No, it seems like somebody from the licensor.
Yeah, this is straight licensor approval.
Provided the art. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everything's approved by licenses, obviously. But boy, this really is.
Like, I mean, hardcore Pokemon people, and I'll talk to some because there are a bunch at the arcade that actually, they sit in the bar and like rip packs. I mean, they spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on these cards. And the whole game, I don't know if you've seen those big packs you can buy. It comes with
big
like
booster packs and all that.
Yeah, they're huge. They're like $100. I mean, this looks like that. I mean, all of the Pokemon stuff, whether it's a cooler or the packaging for their cards. I mean, it all looks the same, and this looks like that.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It's not necessarily a typical Zombie Yeti situation, but it's what you see when you see Pokemon. You see a lot of Pokemon. That's basically what I get out of it too. So with that, let's get into the playfield, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. I had a question in chat. What about Jigglypuff? Well, I got Jigglypuff right there for you, I'm pretty sure. At least to me, that looks like Jigglypuff. We've got a Snorlax right there where you drain. One of the largest Pokemon, And there we have our core 4, if you will. We've got our Charmander and Pikachu and Squirtle and Bulbasaur and all of that sort of thing. But let's get into the layout before we get any more into the assets, right? I'm going to go from the bottom of the table, or machine, if you will, and then left to right. So we've got 4 traditional Italian bottom, 2 in lanes, 2 out lanes. I was trying to figure out what it spelled, in the letters. Now we can't see all the letters. I see this one is the letter T right there. And then when I scroll here, I see the letter M. This could be an I, but then I was like, what is the 4-letter word with I as the 3rd letter? I think it's an A, and I think maybe this is team. What do you think it is, Kale? That's my guess.
Oh, it has to be. I like it. It's team.
I'm going to go with that you spell team at the bottom in lanes to prepare your Pokemon squad. And here's your squad. Some people thought you're going to have like a code where you can pick which Pokemon you build in your party and everything. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think you get these 4 Pokemon in your party, and I don't think you can get all the other ones that you might want to throw all those other ones in there. An Onyx, a Coughing. No, I think you get your core 4. You could evolve them, and I want to talk about a little bit on the code already. I can see that there are the 4 types of let's say with Bulbasaur you get your grass type, with Squirtle you get your water type, Pikachu you get your electric type, and then Charmander you get your fire type. And if you notice, there are 3 inserts for each of them, and I think that's for evolving them, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So I think that's what it's there, because each of them could basically be evolved more or less 3 levels, and so I think that's what it's about in the code right there. Any questions on that, Kel and Chad?
There you have it.
Yeah, that's what I think too. All right, let's get back to the layout though. So now we're looking at here. Now, Kale, when I first looked at this, I thought it was a big paddle stand-up target, a la
Mm-hmm.
Munsters, for
Mm-hmm.
example. But you told me you don't buy that. Here, I'm going to show you kind of Munsters
Mm-hmm.
to give you a sense there.
Okay.
They have here the Lily stand-up target. It's one singular paddle stand-up target. It does have four
Mm-hmm.
different inserts,
Mm-hmm.
but it's one singular stand-up target. Same thing on the other side. The Monsters Garage there, or whatever you want to call it, Dragula shot. So that's that. But you say, nah, that's probably three independent stand-ups. Why do you say that? Or you don't have to tell me why, but what do you think? I'm not putting you on the spot here.
I used my powers, and I know for a fact those are three individual stand-ups.
Yeah, so that I accept that because we get the information we get, but boy, that looked like that they're all connected to me. You can see why I'm not great. Why I thought that, right, Kale?
Yeah, and also, I mean, when I saw this image, it's got three distinct arrows with what I'm guessing are inserts.
Yeah, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I saw it. Here's the three inserts. Now, if you're curious, for you Pokemon obsessives out there, this is Eevee, which is a unique Pokemon that can evolve into many different types,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm guessing that has something to do with evolution. Over there, if you want to evolve your Pokemon, maybe.
Yeah.
What's kind of weird is that one of the things Eevee evolves into a bunch of Pokemon. One of them is this one, which is like Flareon. That's right. I did some deep
Okay.
dive here, Kale. But it doesn't show all the other evolutions, so I'm not quite sure. That's what I'm wondering in the code is maybe that helps you evolve. But anyway, as far as layout goes, it looks like you're saying three independent stand-ups here. I don't think they're drops. I think they're stand-ups.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything behind here. That was a controversial thing, right? We were getting into that, Kale.
Yeah, I think that's just a plastic.
It's just a plastic. I don't think it's a situation where you can like go back there and then come down here. I don't think so. I think it's all closed off. I think it's a plastic. There was some debate about could you go in here and then a la Beatles come back down. George Gomez did Beatles
That was
from Design
vetoed.
Switch. But we veto that. And I'll tell you why I veto that, if you're curious, chat, hey, everyone in chat, is that there's no insert for it. There's nothing there to indicate that. There are these three inserts, but those are the same three inserts on all shots. And so, you don't come up with a new shot like that unless there's an insert for it. So for me, I'm convinced this is just artwork. In other words, nothing. Fair, Kale?
Yeah.
Shall we go to the orbit, the left orbit?
Let's see what's up.
All right, here we have our left orbit, which has it's all of these, notice all these major shots are colored for the different types of Pokemon that are found there. So this one is the grass shot, if you will, represented by Bulbasaur.
That's my favorite.
That's your favorite. I know you love the grass
Hey.
type Pokemon. I know you sure do. And so here we got chat saying, hey, is this the real thing? I want to remind you, this is the real thing. Another reason you know it's the real thing, like not an AI pick, is you can see the layout in here. You can see the Pikachu and the Pokeball and this thing that we'll get to. You could see it all, and that's the same thing on this this blurry potato cam layout that we're looking at. Left orbit. Let's talk about the left orbit, Kale. So I notice as you hit the left orbit, the first thing I want to notice is there is this thing here. That looks like a gate, a controllable gate. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what that suggests to me is that sometimes the shot may not make it where it's about to go, and we'll talk about where it's going to go, and it's going to fall back down here and then rattle and go down the pop bumpers. There's into these top lanes, where then there are two pop bumpers, one here, one here.
And I was about to ask, we're looking at two pop bumpers, right? That's about it?
That's it. There's two pop bumpers right there. And I think if you make the shot hard enough, then it goes up. This orbit becomes a ramp shot. And there's a habit trail. You could kind of see it hovering above the right orbit. I'll take the blue off in a moment. And I think it catches up with this other habit trail. Is that how you pronounce it, Kale, by the way?
Yeah, habit trail.
I feel like everyone pronounces it differently. So the left orbit
wire
feeds
form.
back into the wire form, if you will, into the A right in lane right there.
Yeah.
If you hit it hard enough. And do you know what shot that's reminiscent of, Kale? Another Gomez game? A left orbit like that goes into an orbit.
Oh, are we talking James Bond?
Correct. And let's go to some Pokemon inspirations here. We're gonna look at a lot of these here, but let's go to James Bond first. So in James Bond, which is also a Gomez game, you similarly hit the darn it. You similarly hit the, let me change the thickness, color light. You similarly hit the left orbit, and if you hit it hard enough, it makes it up there and returns, in this case, to the left in lane. But if you don't hit it hard enough, it rattles around and sometimes goes down here, right?
Yep.
Similar game layout is Stranger Things, in a sense, where you can hit the left orbit, and in that case, it feeds all the way back to the right in lane in that case. So I think it's kind of like the James Bond, layout in that sense, that one shot, but feeding back to the right in lane instead of the left in lane. So that's my my claim on the left orbit. It can go there, or it can fall back and go there, like that. You have any questions on the left orbit, Kale?
No, I think you nailed that one.
All right, let's do it. All right, let's zoom out a little bit to talk about this shot, your Squirtle shot, or water type shot, if you will. So that's a ramp. Now, some people thought, hey, do I bash this thing here? And I'm going to say, no, you don't, Kale. Do you agree with me? I think it's actually hovering above the ramp. I don't think it's just a sculpt. That's my claim.
I think you're right. It's just a sculpt, and it's just there for decoration. That's probably a light in the center.
I'm going to give you a little bit more, though. Sorry, you go, Kale.
Yeah, that's indicating something. And I would guess on the pro version of this game, that's just going to be a flat plastic.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a flat plastic. I agree with you. Now, here's what I think about it. I think it's still a mech. Here's my bet, that it's still a mech. It's just not an interactive mech. So what I mean is, it's not a bash toy, and the Pokeball does not eat the ball. This is not an eat the ball situation. I know we in Pinball love things to eat the ball, right? Does the shark eat the ball? Does the worm eat the ball? We need things to eat the ball, but I'm good on putting it on the record. No, it does not eat the ball, but I think it might still open when you make the shot. Like, I don't think the ball ever hits it, but I think if you get it prepped enough, I could see an argument. I definitely see how the light will turn on. We could agree with there, but the thing I'm holding out hope for is that it opens up physically, at least. I think don't they have something similar? I feel like on John Wick, a premium NLE, for example, with the marker. Maybe. But we're going to talk, because there's really one main mech in the game, this one. And so I thought maybe that's your 1.5 mechs, because all these Stern LEs have like 1.5, 2 mechs kind of thing. And so I thought the premium LE might have that. But what do you think about that point, Kale? Do you buy that?
Yeah, I totally. And just to answer DJ in the chat,
100% sure this is a premium. Sorry, keep going. Right.
Yeah, because if you look at the apron is a dead giveaway.
Tell us about the apron. How do you know? Kale, you've seen a lot of premiums and pros.
Well, yeah, that's a metal apron. I mean, it would be a plastic apron if it was a pro. I mean, it just looked totally different.
And every single pro lacks sculpts, and we do have sculpts. Sculpt, right?
Right.
And that tells you that's a premium. The end.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a magnet there. I don't think there's any interaction with the ball other than shots will open it up and turn on a light. That's what I believe. That's my claim. At least we'll see how it goes. Anyway, let's talk about the shot. So you make that ramp shot, and it's supposed to go all the way through. Back down. Let's go scroll down here. We're going to keep scrolling down here, and it goes here to the left in lane. But here's where I think it has two options. I think it can just drop in the left in lane like that, or I think it can go as a diverter, in other words. Or I think it could spin around this cup right there, and then it could go down like that. And yes, I think they're reusing the spinning cup from Fall of the Empire, Star Wars. Would you buy that, Kale?
Oh, sure. Why not?
Yeah, and if I was going to go to back to inspirations, can you think of the games that have that?
The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, Creature from the Black Lagoon is the main one, where it's on the right side.
You want another one?
Yes, I do want another one.
Diner.
You know what? Although I didn't put Diner on, because Diner definitely has a spinning cup, but so does Cactus Canyon, and so do other games. But those games don't have it as part of the inlane. The only two I could think of that had it as part of the inlane is one, Creature, and two. Let me get the right zoom here. There it is.
Oh, Mustang.
Yeah, don't forget about Mustang, and I think it's
a Trudeau thing.
Yeah, it is a Trudeau thing, and now a Gomez and Danger thing, But let me ask you this. What % of Danger is in this game, do you think, is in this layout? If you had to % Danger in this layout, is his vibe in this? I have my percentage in mind.
Okay, it looks like about 20%.
Yeah, I was going to go 10,
Mm-hmm.
but 20 is fair. Chat, what do you think? What percent is Jack Danger in this Pokemon layout? I'm going 10%. Kale says 20%. I want to hear from you. What percent is Jack Danger on this one? I mean, you could disagree, of course. I hear a 3% from a Rachel Bess, it seems. Do we know one of the? Do we know her? I'm reading a 3% from one Rachel Bess. All right, back to the game. So we're talking inspiration. So anyway, here we've got the cup that I mentioned. Yeah, there it is. And then do you buy that there's also a diverter here, that it doesn't always go there? In other words,
What? I don't. Why are you thinking that?
well, I'm thinking that because I think you would. That's just a really sad shot otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Because imagine you every single time you hit this ramp, every single time.
That's all it does.
That's all it does. Circle over and over again while you look at your watch. No, I don't buy that at all. I think that they're going to use it kind of similar to the way Creature used it, in that it's not active unless you're in multi-ball. And then you could shoot a ball there while it rattles around, and you don't mind it rattling around because you could do something with the other ball. I don't think this is almost ever active in single ball play. That's my
and then
claim.
so one shot would drop it into the in lane, so you'd get that switch. You get the E. What we're thinking is the E.
Yeah,
right?
I believe there's an E under there.
And then your other shot is the toilet bowl.
Yeah, as you will, as you were. Toilet bowl is a good example.
Here's
So that's
Toby Wan brought up a interesting point: 70 to 80%. And I was about to bring that up when we interviewed Gomez on the round table.
great interview, by the way.
He said it is his words. I mean, it's mostly Jack Danger, and Gomez just came in and kind of tightened things up. So he made it sound like it was 70 to 80% Jack, but it doesn't appear to be that way unless Jack was taking a completely different direction after X-Men.
I think the same as you. I heard that same comment, and the same comment he made, it was on your show that he made it. And yet, here I am saying 10%. That's my number. I stand by my number.
I'll tell you one very interesting thing. Jack started working on this game as soon as X-Men was announced.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue like maybe Jack was trying an interesting two-flipper layout, fan layout, but like interesting two-flipper layout is more like George Gomez's Deadpool. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. This is a more, as we might use the term, accessible layout. Would you agree with that term?
Yeah, and I think you want that for an IP like this.
And I get it for the IP. But shall we now get into this center, what some might call the bozo zone?
What does that thing do?
All right, let's talk about the bozo zone right there. The narrow cone of 30 degrees that a lot of players who just walk up into pinball tend to hit, right? So the first thing is there's a pop bumper here, and we talked about the pop bumper before, but this is an interesting pop bumper because its placement can be hit on two sides, one side here and one side there. And there are not many games that have a setup exactly like that. You have games that have a pop bumper can be hit on multiple places. I'm not saying that, but a fixed pop bumper that has a wall blocking it off. One side you could hit it, the other side you could hit it. Does my question does that make sense enough? That question?
Yep.
I'll show you my layout. Can you think of a layout that has that? Actually, there's not many that have that. And while I pull it up, there really is not many that have such a design. Chat, can you think of a layout?
Are you about to tell me? The Bozone.
Yeah, I'll show you. I'm talking 2012 X-Men.
Nice. Hello, Tsunami.
In 2012's X-Men, John Borg, OG X-Men, there's a pop bumper right here, the Gambit pop bumper, and you could hit it from this side or you could hit it from this side. And they actually have separate rules in the game for when you hit it on one side versus the other. Like the most valuable shot in the game is when it's flashing and you have to hit it from this side. And you have to get it to the upper flipper and then hit it right there. And I think they're going to employ very similar rules to this game, which I say because if you notice, there's an insert lit just for that. So I think the code is going to have something special where you have to hit the pop bumper from this side. That's my argument for it. Any questions on that, Kale, or follow-up?
No, I'm with you. And
then, of course, we have to get to the center. And there is really just one inspiration you could point to of a game that looks like this in more than one way. And we're hearing it in chat, so we're going to go to it in the videotape here. And that is, of course, Junkyard. So let's look at Junkyard. And Junkyard has a typical fan layout, except let's really focus on the central portion right here. So in the central portion, you have 3 stand-ups angled like that. You have another 3 stand-ups angled like that. And you have this bash toy in the middle. And it's basically a crane. And you could hit the bash toy, especially if you hit these stand-ups right there. It can raise or lower the bash toy, for example. And that reveals a shot behind it. That's your typical Junkyard. How do you feel about Junkyard, Kale?
Man, I've only played it like 1 or 2 times, but it was fun. I wouldn't buy one.
I wouldn't buy one either, but you were mentioning toilet bowl. This is they actually have a real toilet bowl in Junkyard. Kale in chat for trivia, what other games feature an actual toilet bowl? And that's my question for you, chat. Toilet bowl related.
Oh, I know. I won't answer.
All right, you don't answer while we go. Okay, just a little bit of fun
Junkyard
trivia.
is a Ausler and Sullivan.
That is correct. I believe
layout.
Junkyard's Barry Ausler. That's right.
But also, Dwight is given credit for the layout.
Oh, is that right? Oh, is that interesting?
Yeah, Barry Ausler.
I know he did some of the code on it, didn't he?
Game.
All right.
It says game design, Barry Ausler and Dwight
Austin
Sullivan.
Powers and South Park. Yes, that is correct. Those games have a toilet bowl. Thank you, chat. And Big Lebowski is another one that was also on my list of toilet bowl related games. It's a short list. It's not a huge list, in other words. And no, I got a question. Someone in the chat says Pokemon has a toilet bowl. That's only if you count that spinning cup, which is right here. You could call that a toilet if you want to call it a toilet bowl. That's up
Does
to you.
Transformers have a toilet bowl? Is that what somebody's asking?
We're getting that leak next week, right? Right,
Yep.
Kale? We're going to do a
Hopefully.
deep dive of Transformers next week, I believe. All right, let's keep talking about this. So we have 3 stand-ups here. We have 3 stand-ups here. Now, you and I were getting into discussion earlier, and some people were like saying, oh, this Meowth here, that's a Meowth, by the way, if you're wondering, Meowth Pokemon. He was sort of the villains. There was a Team Rocket in the cartoon show, and Team Rocket, Jesse and James had a cat, this Pokemon named Meowth. He was a bad guy. But anyway, there was a debate like, oh, maybe that's just artwork. No, it's definitely a sculpt. You could see his whiskers crossing over on top of the stand-ups there on the left. And so this is definitely a 3D sculpt, but it's more than that, Kale. Should we say what it is? This is the main toy of the game.
Well, it's like it's hovering above something.
Right. And so if we go to, and that's right, we're going to go to this here, not this one. Boy, I didn't even show these slides. I mean, slides, Kale, but we didn't need them today. So that's that. We've got the Team Rocket.
That's it.
Here's Jesse and James and Meowth.
That's the thing.
They go in a hot air. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. So they go in a hot air balloon with the shape of Meowth as the balloon, in other words. And so what we're saying here is that there is a bash toy that you can see in that top-down shot where it's like the basket of a hot air balloon. You hit that basket and also maybe the stand-ups on the sides of the basket. The basket raises into the hot air balloon, and then you could shoot inside, and then we'll go back to it now. So I'm claiming that there's a basket underneath this Meowth head, and you have to hit the basket, which raises it up so that you could access a physical ball lock right there. What do you say to that, Kel?
I'm here for it. Kids are gonna love that. That you want to put something like that right in the Bozo Zone.
That is absolutely right, in the Bozo Zone. And this whole area is the Team Rocket area. It's got the R for Team Rocket. It's got this guy who is the boss of Team Rocket. His name's Giovanni, who does some of the call-outs in the game. He's like the antagonist, the bad guy. You've got your Meowth over here. And I think maybe that's where you see Jesse and James and some other people related to Team Rocket. It's quite blurry, but you probably have to defeat all the villains here, and then you get to Giovanni at the end, something like that. Do you buy that? Team Rocket blasting off again, basically.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
That's right. So that's it for this area. As we move to the right, captive ball situation. And this is like, there were a lot of hot takes about this because some people are seeing and some people aren't. So I wanted to have a discussion with you here. This is certainly a captive ball. We could agree with that, right, Kale? And this is another ball. We could agree with that, right, Kale?
Yes.
What about this one? Is that another ball? Take a deep breath. And chat, what do you say? Is that another ball? And before you answer, I should say this.
Kind of looks like it, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it really does kind of look like it.
But it almost looks like there could be a 4th ball in between.
This one,
Yes.
you're saying? I'm overruling that one. I'm sorry. I'm
Okay,
going to
okay.
overrule that one.
Mhm.
I think that's just part of whatever further art is going on. I get that it has a tiny little glare spot right there, just
Or
like the other ones.
yeah.
But I don't think so. And I'll tell you why I don't think so. You know, I
Mhm.
could be wrong. Maybe that is. The reason I'm just debating it is like, whenever you have a bunch of captive balls in a row, it just doesn't work well. Would you
No.
agree with that, Kale?
Yeah, and we've seen that with Demo Man.
You mean Judge Dredd?
Judge Dredd. I'm sorry.
That's right. The other
Yes.
Demo Man, right? The other
Yes.
Stallone movie.
Yes.
Like Judge Dredd has like multiple captive balls, and like if you hit the target, you could get like 3x or whatever. We can get into it in another deep dive, but you never hit it and that hard because it just, now they don't have those Bally Williams games lacked stern flippers, which can get pretty hard. So maybe it works better on a stern flipper game. But the thing that I debate though is that it's not only is there multiple balls here, but it's angled, which can take away some of the momentum, you know, as
100%.
opposed to like
that's
a
basic
shot.
Physics. Come on,
Yeah,
come on.
that's Newtonian physics right there. You know what I'm saying? It's like second law of thermodynamics, and so there is a lot of distance, and I just between those walls. So there's at least this one we could agree with that. There's probably a stand up behind there, but so it's interesting because I'm just curious how well that works, frankly. What do you think? How well do you think it's going to work?
Uh, man, if we're thinking it has 3 balls, so you're 1 stationary ball and 2 that like bounce into each other.
Yeah.
Man,
But-
I don't know. I mean, that you could really nail that captive ball pretty good from that far away.
Do you want to hear a crazy thought? This is like the crazy outside thought
Yeah,
that
what
I
do
had.
you what you got?
What I'm cooking here, and I'm not saying this is the way it is. I don't think this is the way it is, but there's like a 10% chance this is the way it is. So I wanted to at least entertain it. This is my what do you call it? Like a parlay call. You know, this is like a real.
Right.
You know, it's probably not going to happen, but if it does, they'll say I knew what I was talking about, kind of thing. So I was debating: does it just end as a stand up here, or hear me out? Do the balls continue and connect to the shot that's behind the basket of the hot air balloon? And hear me out. Imagine a world, Kale, where all the balls are locked in place here, but you hit one to the other one to the other one, and they're all like, I don't know why this one's here right now. Maybe they took a picture at an interesting time, but it knocks the ball to load up here. And then when you hit the basket enough and the basket raises, there's a drop target, you hit the drop target and the balls come back out. Something like that. Makes no sense, right, Kale? You're done with me.
That's not.
It's crazy. It's not possible. The reason I'm wrong is because how do you get the balls back in? So I'm wrong in the end. It's wrong. It's not right, Kale. It's not right.
If that's right, I'm taking you to Shin Bay.
Okay, fair enough. It's like a 1% chance. A 1% chance. I don't think it's
maybe less.
Maybe less. But I wanted to say one crazy thing. Would you let me say one crazy thing at least? Chat, I don't think it's true. Okay, I'm saying it's not true. Hear me out. It's not true. What I just said is crazy. Don't believe it. But it would have been fun if it were true. Okay, we're done with that nonsense, right, Kale? Should we go to this ramp here?
Yeah, go.
All right, right ramp goes around the Pikachu. Now, Kale, is this a static Grogu-like Pikachu, or is this a moving Pikachu, moving his arms, Pika style, like Homer on a Simpsons would be? Is this the Grogu or is this the Homer?
Man, I'm 50-50 on this one. I think it's static, man.
I'm talking to the premium, of course. Keep in mind.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I think this is static, not interactive. This is more of a Grogu than a Homer. Chat, what do you say? Is Pikachu moving its arms or is Pikachu not moving? That's the question. I would love to hear what you have to think about that. And of course, yeah, you were saying, Kel.
Well, if it is moving, it's just a stepper motor, like going back and forth. I'm not thinking it's any more than that. I think it's static.
I think it's static too. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, this is like a Stay Puff that's staying still, if you will. All right orbit shot. We had some discussion about this right orbit shot. What this right orbit shot is all about, going on about. Do you think it makes it all the way through the controllable gate to come back to the left flipper?
Yeah, that's your skill shot.
And do you think that despite this metal ramp here that is accessed that allows the left orbit to reach its habit trail there?
Don't you think that ramp lifts up?
Correct, and that's what I think too. I think this ramp lifts up such that you could hit a right orbit shot and it comes speedily along right through there. It's probably going to go right through this controllable gate. Maybe sometimes the gate's closed so you could access the pop bumpers, but that slows the speed down. Other times I think it goes all the way through. Would you buy that?
Yeah, I'm with you. My money's on that.
Yeah, I think so too. And then the final shot to talk about is the scoop. I actually want to show it in the other image, this one right here.
Mm-hmm.
So you could see it's got like a billboard on it, and there's a scoop there, right there. And I think for me that's pretty reminiscent of, the GOAT game out there, which is Godzilla. Kind of similar. You take it's in an easier place a little bit, but you got a billboard, you got a scoop. It's where you start your modes, that sort of thing. What do you say to that, Kill?
Yeah, that's what's going on. It's for starting things.
Yeah, this is you need a place for staging balls, and this is your staging ball area. Should we get to, so that's our layout breakdown, right? A few things to add here while I'm here. Let's talk about some assets now. Can we get into the assets, Kale, and maybe a little bit of the code as we go?
Snorlax.
Yeah, you've got your Snorlax. He's a big giant Pokemon right there. That's where you could shoot again. We talked about the 4 major Pokemon here, but I think you're going to be able to use the electricity power. Like, let's say you go through that in lane. You notice it triggers this little lightning bolt here, and then I bet you have to make a one-time shot through the right ramp to kind of activate, to juice up your electricity, let's say, for your Pikachu multi-ball or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, this is a multi-ball. We could agree with that. That's the big main multi-ball in the game. No questions on that. This is where you start your modes. I mentioned before that you have 3 inserts for each of the main 4 Pokemon right there. And that's because those Pokemon tend to evolve. So let's go to the videotape on that one. By the way, I tried to put this picture through AI to see, what AI would tell me. And it's something of your nightmares. Do you want to see what that would look like? A Kale in chat? What AI says? I said, animate this game for what it would look like if it's animated.
Wow.
That's the real
amazing.
game. That's what you could do now with pinball. That's what's going to happen. It's going to look like that, Kale in chat.
Yeah. Sort of Katamari looking.
Yeah. Exactly. I like that game, by the way. All right, let's keep going. We're going to talk about some of the assets, right? You've got your Bulbasaur, which evolves to 3 things, right? You've got your Squirtle, which evolves to 3 things. Your Wartortle, your Blastoise, if you will. And then you've got your Charmander and your Charmeleon and your Charizard for those 3. And then, of course, you've got your Pichu and your Pikachu and your Raichu. And I think that's what's correlating here to these 4 things. And we do have a question from chat, which is asking, what do we think about how tight the layout is? And my answer is not at all. Some people are like, this is a fan layout. And to be clear, it is a fan layout. But you take a recent game like Star Wars Fall of the Empire, and that's a very different fan layout, meaning that Star Wars, number 1, has many more shots to it, right? You have your left orbit, and you have your Hoth shot, and then you had a stand up here, but then you had a Death Star shot over here, and then you had a center ramp over there, and then you have your, Jabba the Hutt shot here, and then a right ramp shot, and then another right orbit. And the point is, it has a scoop over there and scoop over here. The point is that the fan layout of Star Wars Fall of the Empire is quite tighter because it has more shots, and it's a lot harder to hit those shots. Plus, there are the pop bumpers here and here that throw the ball, like crazy. And so this one has far fewer shots. I believe that the openings for those shots are a lot wider than the ramps on, look at the right ramp and compare this right ramp to the right ramp on Star Wars, and you'll see what I mean, the latest Star Wars. It's just wider. So these shots are makeable. This is not a tight but findable, kind of thing. This is, if you have to say, does this game play easy, meaning by easy, the argument is, can you make shots? Then yes, is what I would say.
Yeah, I think this is a game that people thought Star Wars was when everybody was like,
and they were wrong.
Yeah, right.
Right. And we said that on our podcast. As soon as the game came out, Kale, we're like, is this game easy? And I'm like, no, this is going to have fast ball times on Star Wars. I mean, is this game easy to shoot? I would say yes, actually. This is pretty easier, a lot easier to shoot than Star Wars is, in my opinion. In your opinion, right, Kale?
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going here. All right, we've got Eevee over here, and Eevee I mentioned before. This was Eevee, right? Eevee has all these evolutions into all these different things that it could be when it grows up. Kale, which one of these did you want to be when you grow up, Kale? When you were a kid?
Oh, I think the jazz one at the bottom. What is that called? Fairy?
Oh, fairy. Oh, yeah, I missed
Yeah.
it. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
fairy. I can't even see. Oh, fairy type. Yeah,
Yeah,
this is the
fairy.
jazz one. The one that's smoking the jazz cigarettes. You mean?
Yeah, that looks like the one, man.
All right, I guess you're right. You're probably right. All right, so and then if we go back to this layout, you have one evolution of Eevee, the Flareon here on the right orbit, but it's kind of interesting. You don't see any other out there. So like you see, here's the Flareon right there, and there's the Flareon over there. I don't see any of the other, what was it, 8 that it became? Yeah, that's right, 8 that it became. I don't see those ones on there. But, you know, I don't know. They like Flareon. What can I tell you? And what's interesting there is all these shots all have 3 inserts on them, except Flareon gets its own picture. Flareon's the only one. There's nothing else on the other shots, right? And so maybe that suggests you do something here and then you hit the right orbit, you know, perhaps. And there's also a spinner there I didn't mention earlier. There's a spinner on that right orbit that you could rip. One of the things I noticed is that this scoop has 4 signs on it, 4 inserts, and I'll point that out here. Here's your 4, I don't know about inserts, but billboard lights, if you will. And then similarly, there's 4 lights here. And I wonder if it's just that simple, that it's the same 4 lights here or the same 4 lights here. You know, this is not a game that's full of crazy inserts, by the way. This is no King Kong, which has like perhaps the most inserts of any Stern, you know, and it's certainly no JJP, which has the most inserts of any pinball company, right? This is just, you know, pretty simple inserts, I would say. And I bet these 4 correlate to those 4 is what my breakdown of it. And then other than that, let's see what else I wanted to cover. We've got your Mewtwo here, and that's maybe a mission along the way. That's what I figure. You know, games have modes and multi-balls and multipliers and missions, and I bet your Mewtwo is your missions. These are like the main mini wizard modes of the game to get through. But this is your Meowth multi-ball insert. That's what I bet over there. Let's see if I have any slides to show you here. Oh, I got these slides right on the artwork here. I'm just showing you all the assets that they've got because, you know, we're going to be extreme about this. We've got here your Machoke and Machamp and, you know, all the things that it turns into right here on your artwork. That's a fighting type. I know you care, Kale, deeply about this. Yeah, that is a Machamp and a Machoke and a Machamp. If you're really diving deep, kids, you know, into that. And there you see that one and that one. And that one.
And this is Earth type.
It's actually a fighting type Pokemon, Kale, now that you mention it.
There's another type.
There's another type. There's something like 18 types in Pokemon these days. You know, they added a lot more types. It used to just be like these basic types like Earth, Wind, and Fire, like the bands that you're into.
Yeah.
You know, but no.
Right.
More of like what was that show, Captain Planet, you know, that had those. Yeah. No, but then they added a whole bunch of crazy types. So this is a fighting type Pokemon that they put on the artwork over there. And then I think, Kale, do I have anything more to say about this game? Do you have anything more to say about this game? Chat, what about you? What questions didn't we answer about this game? Should we ask anything? Eevee only involves, that's a good point from somebody in chat who said that it was a deep cut for chat here, is that technically, when I said that Eevee evolves into multiple things, not really. In Gen 1, and there have been multiple generations of Pokemon, in Gen 1 it only evolved to a Vaporeon, Jolteon, and a Flareon. But in this, it's only evolving to a Flareon. So technically it's just missing 2, if you want it to be all about the Gen 1 Pokemon. Yeah, you didn't think I could do that, Kale, right?
No, I didn't. What's up with the right sling?
I'm here to always surprise you. There's some people in chat that are like, I don't like the shape of the right sling. And they're saying that because it doesn't quite look triangular. It looks more like a what do you call it? A parallelogram? I'm not sure.
Scroll up. Keep scrolling.
What do you mean scroll up?
Well, we can't see it. Oh, hold on.
Are you not looking at my screen?
Yeah. No, I was looking at. I'm sorry. I was in the future past.
Fair enough. That's all that happens.
Whoa, that's weird. What the hell's going on there?
I couldn't tell. I was looking myself about this, and it does look not like a triangle. Can we kind of, you know, Can we say that? It doesn't quite look like a triangle. I'm a little confused by that myself.
Jojo Dojo, what is happening? Gomez confirmed he took those out.
Now, in the Pro, we're going to see this as a flat plastic. We're going to see this as a flat plastic. And then they're going to take away the rising thing here, probably, right? You'd have to think, right? The rising hot air balloon. And what do you think? It's just going to be like a drop target, maybe, that you have to hit a la Star Trek? I'm not sure.
Well, you have to remember they use the same play fields for everything now. As far as like there's not like a separate.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah, so I don't think they're going to put a drop there, and then in the LE, they're going to cover that drop with a piece of plastic. I don't think.
I don't think so either. Well, what do you think they're going to do then, Kale? Do you think they're actually going to have a rising hot air balloon in there on the Pro?
I don't know. Yeah, probably use the same one on each thing.
It's a tricky one. That's a tricky one. And yeah, the chat is agreeing that I think this one is a triangle. I think the left sling is a triangle, but that right one just doesn't look like a triangle. Do you think I'm being fooled by the art, Kale, or do you think it really is not a triangle? Am I being fooled here? No, because look at this line. That line continues. It's hard to believe that it's a triangle. It really feels like it butts out there.
Yeah, and what is that little thing next to the dot on the Pokeball on the triangle on the plastic on the sling plastic?
Yeah, I hear you.
You see what I'm saying? Like what is that?
Yeah, I don't have an answer for you there, Kale. I wish I did, but I don't.
This is why you don't like the leak photos.
I know, I can't do it. Should we do another breakdown when the actual trailer comes out and we can talk about the code and everything? Because that's when I could really get into it. Because I can't even read these inserts, Kale. Although there's not really any text there, to be honest. It's just what you see is what you get that way. Right. But, that's Pokemon. We were debating before, if you don't hit this well, can it dribble down and come down this way? For example, a la Diner, if you will. What do you say to that, Kale?
That would be really cool. Yeah, if you don't make it perfectly.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. And that's the game, right?
And there you have it.
I want you to dead bounce when it comes out of that scoop, okay? If you don't know how to drop catch, then just do a dead bounce.
Just let it happen.
Just let it happen, okay? You don't have to hit it just because it's flying at the left flipper. I don't have anything else, Kale. Should we end it there?
Yeah, I think that was it. We just did a little short show on a leaked photo, and everybody's still trying to figure out whether this is fake or not.
It's not.
I wanna be the very best.
Right. But no, normally I know we do 3-hour shows, and that's not going to happen this time. Right? All right, chat. They want us to ask. Okay, they want us to ask chat. Do you feel that the premium, which this is worth 10K, and do you feel like the LE is worth 13K? I will ask you, chat. I will not give my answer, but I will ask you that. And while you answer that, we're gonna say
SB Skins. Are you SB Skins on Pinside?
And while you're looking at that, I'm going to say a few things. I'm going to say, there are, in terms of timing of the reveal here, tomorrow they show it to distributors. That's the main distributor call. Wednesday is media day. I think Ralph is going there, right? And then usually they would release it on Friday for the public reveal, typically, Kale, right? But I've heard that the approval isn't quite there in time, and that might change things, but typically they would release it on Friday. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
I wonder if they'll feel pressure to reveal it anytime sooner, to show better information on it, given the leaks that have happened. But we shall see there. In terms of the assets here, it's got all the video and audio from the animated series, and it seems they went big on the animated series side of things. That was there were 28 seasons of that, Kale. It went from 1997 to 2023.
Holy crap.
I know, right? Voice actors from Pikachu and Giovanni. I'll be honest with you, I don't really get the call-outs from this one because he only says one thing, which is Pika.
Can you
and Pikachu.
I hear, at the beginning of the show, you mentioned kids want to play this. People are talking about kids are wanting this. This is an IP that's been around for 30 years.
So you're saying there's older people who are into it too?
Yeah, there's like 40-year-olds
Yeah,
that
I
are
think you're right.
ripping packs and jazzed up about this.
I went to a card store. Actually, now that you mention this, I went to a card store just like a week ago, with not with my boy, and he wanted to look at Pokemon cards actually. And then I went in there, and there were a lot of people in there looking at Pokemon cards. And I'll tell you what I saw is a lot of adults.
Yeah.
Right, right. Now, yeah, most of them were not in shape, I admit,
Yeah.
but
Well, you
but
gotta think
they were into it.
if you were watching this cartoon, you weren't one.
Yeah, Pika Fire. You could say Pika Fire, Pikachu, Pika Pika. You know.
Yeah.
And so we might do, Kale, presume maybe, if Friday actually happens and they do a little bit of reveal, we might do a revisit to see what we got right, what we got wrong. And then
Absolutely.
maybe we could even do a bit of a code breakdown, which is what we like to do.
We will find out this week.
Yeah, we got Pocket being wrong, saying Pika Fire, which I thought was, PK Fire. I think that's a different thing. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Pika P. It's true. He could say Pika P. But Giovanni's probably the main call-out one. He's the bad guy, the bad dude who runs Team Rocket, if you will. And he was the gym leader and the boss of the criminal organization Team Rocket. And so, yeah, I think that covers it. I'll tell you some characters I didn't quite see in this game. If you're wondering, here, you deep Pokemon lore people, there's no Professor Oak. There's no Ash. There's no Gary. I wondered if the Captiball was your Professor Oak. Professor Oak helped you with the Pokédex and helped you classify all your Pokemon. I wondered if he's related to the Captiball, and that's more of your what's called your Pokédex, where you keep all your Pokemon that you've collected, that sort of thing. I don't see any Brock or Misty or Nurse Joy. Those are some deep character cuts in there. Maybe they're there if we get the clearer artwork and we'll see them, but I didn't see them so far. So there. Yeah, I think we did it, right, Kel?
Yep. Another successful early reveal.
Right. And then, we might do another one. Thank you for joining on this emergency episode, chat. All 800 million of you actually who joined. It's pretty impressive. Kale, as we leave, we should tell the chat that we're also going to be streaming on Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. MST, Mountain Standard Time.
Right here.
Because right here in Arizona, at Electric Bat, where we are having our league finals night, where Kale and I will be physically together, which gives us more power. Don't you agree, Kale?
Absolutely.
That's really, with our powers combined, we can do it. And we'll have more opportunity. We could even talk Pokemon there as the chat's going. So hopefully you'll join us then, and then we might stream again on Friday if they reveal the game, and we could talk about more things.
No lower playfield on this. It's a very simple game, Andrew.
Yeah, it's fewer shots. And you heard the rumors that they're going to be more complicated when they get to Transformers, and that's like a layout that's crazy, and you have to see it to believe it kind of thing. But this is, I admit it, it's not a complicated layout, but it's also an IP that's not made for heavy hitter pinball players.
It doesn't need to be. I think this is perfect.
You're gonna get the Pro, right, Kale?
Yep.
You're not paying for the sculpt, in other words. There.
No.
But good idea. You're going to get the Pro, and then we'll see. But I am curious what the Pro does with this situation over there, because that's going to be getting rid of that raising basket or whatever. It makes this less fun area. So we shall see.
Yeah, and it may just pass straight through, and there's a virtual lock. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happened on Bond, right?
Yeah, you're right about that. I wonder, on Bond, it's probably, you're saying it's going to go in here and come out that way.
Yeah.
You know what? That's the Pro.
That's the Pro.
The Pro has this shot. That's what I'm claiming.
Yeah, that's it.
And you know what we're going to say? We're going to say, oh, Pro, it flows better. You should get the Pro.
Yes, that's right.
We're all going to say it. You know it, chat. We're not going to say it right away, right? We're in the cycle. You know the cycle, Kale?
Yeah.
The leaks come out. Everyone's like, boy, I hate it, but you got to see it in person.
Yeah.
It really pops in person, and the layout's a lot more fun than you'd expect. And then we see it in person, and then we do like it, but then we go back to being in mid about it.
Right.
I think we're in the beginning of the cycle hype. I should have drawn a graph for the cycle, but we're at the very beginning of the cycle. Friday we might feel a little differently. Yeah.
It's gonna be a cool week. I'm looking forward to it. Streaming, learning more about Pokemon, and just hanging out, having a good time.
Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure. Everyone in chat, thanks for joining us. we'll leave. We'll say bye now, and hopefully see you soon, including on Wednesday night.